All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the MTS Accessible Services Advisory Committee to order. Thank you all for being here. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone who serves on this committee and our staff partners. Accessible transportation is essential to independence and opportunity. The work that we do here helps ensure that riders with disabilities and seniors have a voice in shaping the services that they rely on every day. So I appreciate everyone's continued commitment to that mission. And with that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Members, will you please make your selections on the tablets? One second, Chair.
It's just not. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay, Chair. The roll call goes with 8 members present and 7 members absent.
All right, thank you. We will now move on to public comments. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the committee on items not otherwise on today's agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers?
We do not.
Well, okay.
Chair, would you like to hold?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Can you please come up to the podium to make your comment?
Yes, my name is Patrick McIntosh. I live in Vista, California, and I wanted to bring 2 comments up, one of which I mentioned at last week's Sandag meeting on Tuesday, was in regards to the upcoming transit fare increases for fares. And I know that for myself, because I use the Pronto disabled ID card, being a 64-year-old male, that for me, $58 a month to be able to ride Coaster, Sprinter, as well as the Pacific Surfliner and buses and trolleys. A $3 increase to me is very, very much not out of range compared to what a lot of other transit agencies in California may be charging their riders in the next few months, especially with the cost of gas. $3 isn't even, I would say, half a gallon of the first gallon you put in the tank at somewhere. So I don't mind that at all. My other comment, and I've also mentioned this in an email because I was not able to attend the NCTD ASAC, which unfortunately was at the same day and time, is that at the Santa Fe Depot, like when I pulled in today, we pulled in on track 2 for the northbound coaster. And just as I was getting off it, I noticed on track 1 was the southbound coaster getting ready to leave. Now, I've had this happen sometimes in reverse order where
Your time has ended.
I'm going to point you out. First of all, Mr. McIntosh, thank you for making it out here. I'm going to point out Mr. Michael Wagon. He's going to talk with you about some of your issues.
That completes public comment.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next item is approval of the minutes from the March 19th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I second.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Marino and seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. Any discussion on those minutes? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
For the record, there is no public comment. Community members, please make your selections on the tablets. Motion passes with 10 members voting yes, no members voting no, and 4 members absent.
Thank you. Our first informational item is the MTS Support Services Overview and Results. Support Services plays an important role in how riders interact with MTS, from customer service and trip planning to pronto support and passenger assistance. Staff will provide an overview of these services and performance metrics. Ms. Denham, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members of ASAC. My name is Amanda Denham, and I'm the Director of Support Services for MTS. I'm here today to talk to you about the many services we provide to the MTS riders in terms of navigating our system and interacting with the various elements that we have. I'm going to talk to you about what those different departments are and then go through some of the ways that we measure and assess improvement in those areas. So what is support services? Support services are the 6 departments that MTS offers to our customers to provide information. And we seek to provide information that's accurate, that's consistent, and that's timely at a high quality service level so that customers can easily navigate MTS in our system. We have 3 distinct call centers at MTS that process an average of 25,000 phone calls per month. Those are divided into customer service, information and trip planning, and the Pronto Support Center. We also have an in-person retail store, which is located here at 12th and Imperial on the 1st floor. And the other 2 teams are out in the field. So we have passenger support representatives who are primarily special event support, but are also at everyday stations providing rider interactions to help with purchasing fares, navigating the system, wayfinding and things like that. And the last group is the Ride Check program, which is kind of a secret shopper-based program that helps us keep our drivers and our service quality levels high. Our departments are combinations of represented and non-represented employees. And all of our supervisors are cross-trained to provide support 7 days a week across all the different operations. So I'll talk a little bit more about the individual call centers first. The first we have is MTS Customer Service. This is a primarily inbound call center that receives feedback from customers for everything across our system, whether it be operated by a contractor, an in-house operator, if it's related to our facilities, our transit centers, everything comes through one system. We take feedback through calls, through online feedback form, voicemails, emails, live chat, letters, social media, public comment at meetings like this. It's important for MTS to make sure we have a representative sample of the customer's experience. And so everything goes into one system for us to be able to monitor and track those across the different forums. The customer service team processes about 1,000 cases of customer feedback per month, and we do so using an SAP system called the CRM. Each case gets input by the member of the customer service team, and that case gets assigned to the correct operational division to conduct the actual investigation before being returned to customer service to follow up with the customer if that was requested. We strive to have our cases closed out within 7 business days and have met that service metric goal for the last several years. Of those 1,000 calls we receive, it is a combination of complaints, comments, and suggestions. About 75% are complaints, 10% compliments, and the remainder are suggestions. Each of the investigations takes place using the tools available. So that could be anything from an onboard video, a GPS surveillance system, a phone call monitoring. We try to use a variety of different resources to make sure we've gotten an accurate perspective of what took place. And then again, by tracking everything in one system, we're able to use that feedback to make targeted efforts to address the concerns that were brought to our attention. That customer service team receives almost 2,000 phone calls per month. This is a team of 4 people. They are management employees with 1 analyst that works part-time in the customer service team. On average, the wait time for those callers is 20 seconds, and less than 2.5% of those calls are abandoned before we're able to assist them. Unlike a lot of call centers, one thing I like to point out when talking about this call center service we provide, and part of why we have 3 different call centers, is the nature of the service we provide. Transit is always moving. And so by that very nature, when people are contacting us for information, we need to be able to get to them efficiently to make sure that the questions they have are answered relevant to when the questions are or the answers are needed. So we do strive to keep our call center waits under 30 seconds, as well as our abandonment rates under 4% to really assist our customers when they need that help. The next call center is our information and trip planning office. This is our largest team. This team is represented employees, so they have the same union as our in-house bus drivers. And they are the best resource for anything you may need to know. They're open 5:30 in the morning to 8:30 at night on the weekdays and 7 to 7 on the weekends. They do everything from personalized trip plans to lost and found support to on-the-fly real-time and detour information. So for example, if there's an elevator outage, this is a team who's going to not only be able to help riders navigate the station, but they're going to get alerts added onto our website and into our mobile systems. They're also there to answer questions about things like fares and the certification processes, and really just help riders who may be new or not new to MTS navigate our system. We like to think of this team as really, my supervisor described it best, so I'll use his words, that they are the greatest human link out in our system. Our customers can be anywhere in the system and speak to a human about our system who knows our system. They make those immediate, direct connections and solutions possible. So if anyone has ever left their phone, their wallet, or their keys on a bus, we know the panic that can ensue from that. You can call this team, be online with someone within 15 seconds and have them directly in contact with the bus operator to help reunite you to that lifeline, which is your phone. And that happens on a daily basis with this team. They receive an average of 15,000 phone calls per month. Again, 17-second wait time and about 2% abandonment rate. And this is also a team that, as are all of our team, has a combination of bilingual agents, so English and Spanish, as well as access to other languages if riders need that assistance. The Pronto support team is the last call center that we have in place. And this is, again, a combination of part-time and full-time management employees, primarily inbound support. But this department provides the support not just for MTS, but also for the entire region. So North County Transit District uses the Pronto system as well. And so this is the call center for both transit agencies. They provide support for customer questions, account inquiries. They help people understand how to qualify for the SDM or youth fares and can provide immediate conversion of their accounts to those reduced fares to those who qualify, while also helping walk people through the application process, whether they want to use the online application or come into our transit store or fill out a long form. This is a team that can help guide them through the process. They can help get a mobile app downloaded and the account set up, stay on the phone with the person the entire time. And this is actually the team that also reviews and processes those applications for reduced fare that are submitted online. Last year, for some context, this team processed over 29,000 reduced fare cases that came through and needed documents reviewed. And on average, those cases were closed within 2 days of being submitted. This team also processes over the phone orders for access ticket books. They mail out all books, whether they're ordered online or over the phone. So for example, SDRC, we send out an order every month. Other customers submit their online orders and they go out weekly. In addition to that, they have case management for help requests that are submitted through Pronto, about 800 of those a month. And then they partner with our Pronto Partners accounts, which are organizations or institutions that provide transit passes to their employees or their students. So they are the group that will support those efforts and ensure they have access to their online institutional portals. In recent years, we added the ability for some of these partners to actually verify reduced fare eligibility. So several of our organizations are able to verify their clients or their students for reduced fare by submitting their photos and dates of birth directly into the system and not having the student or client have to go through that process independently. This call center receives just under 7,000 calls a month. You can see a big spike that we experienced in April of last year. That was the time frame when we moved to a full eligibility verification requirement for Pronto. So we did see a large spike in calls and online requests to get accounts verified and converted. Even with those big spikes, we see the average wait time in this call center staying around 40 seconds with abandonment around 3%. The calls in Pronto are a bit different from what we see in customer service and trip planning in that there's a very cyclical nature to the Pronto system. passes are calendar month based, as is eligibility. So we do see spikes in the call volumes at the beginning of the month and end of the month. So one thing to note about those wait times, they tend to be a little bit higher at the first of the month and last of the month. The next resource we have available is our transit store. You can see Annabelle and Vicky posing there in our lost and found room. So this is a team of ATU employees who provide in-person support, whether it be loading a Pronto card, getting a discount eligibility verified, purchasing access books, picking up lost and found. We store all the lost and found items for the bus and trolley system at our transit store. And they keep those items there for 14 days before moving to the next step in the process. On average, we have about 8,000 items come through the transit store each year. And each of the other operating divisions also keeps their lost and found. So you can imagine the amount of organization that this small team has to do to keep customers reunited with their items. They're also there to provide fare diversion payment information, system maps, and kind of basic information about the system. The passenger support team is our in-station support. So you've likely seen them out in the field if you've ever ridden the system. They tend to have on the red jackets and the buttons that say "Ask Me." They're here to help people navigate the planned and the unplanned. So we will station our PSRs, passenger support reps, at key stations throughout the service day: San Ysidro, Santa Fe Depot, Old Town. But we also have the ability to move them as needed. So if there are changes in special event plans or detours that are unexpected or rail closures, this is the team that's going to relocate themselves to be there where the riders need the help and can walk them through all of that. And again, they're there to help as special events start and conclude. So we actually have the passenger support representatives in our central control division during heavy events. They are actually helping monitor the crowds in the stations. They're making announcements. They're updating the visual messaging signs to, again, complement the in-person support that we have down in the stations to help get our riders where they need to be during those special events. There's a couple examples of what you may have seen out in the field. Again, we try to make them easy to identify by having everybody in a bright colored uniform with clear indicators that that's what they're there for. During our special events, we'll use a variety of different tools. We use the megaphones for announcements. We have the colored flags with the text on them to help visually impaired riders be able to identify what line they may need to travel on. Again, high visibility with the uniforms they wear. They also have things like QR codes on lanyards on their uniform to help with some of the common questions we receive. And then, of course, they carry bags or messenger backpacks that have information such as regional maps and things like that. Victor, who you can see in the photo on the top left with our security team, is a really close partner to, again, making sure we have our representatives where passengers need them and meet them where they are. And they have some fun too. You can see the picture from December nights where they got into character too. The last program is our ride check program. So this is a team of part-time management employees that helps us discreetly monitor the system by writing and simply reporting what their observations are. They receive a combination of directed rides, meaning operators that we've asked them to make sure they take a look at, and random rides. And they look at both our in-house operators as well as our contracted bus operators. They're not there to find what we're doing wrong necessarily, but they are there to look at everything from a rider's perspective. So listening to the announcements, checking that head signs make sense, checking to make sure seatbelts are on. How did the driver interact with the passengers? They then submit those report back to the customer service team who partners with operations and takes the appropriate action based on what we see. We also use this team in the transit store to help, again, quality check our program in the store. So each of these departments come with a lot of data. And so really important for us in support services to make sure that we're using that data to make the right strategic decisions and raise our levels of service and address issues that may be identified through that data. So we have a series of dynamic reports and interactive dashboards that we look at on a weekly and monthly basis to make those decisions. So we look at call trends, we look at customer feedback trends, we're looking at sales data. The CRM, having everything into in one system, allows us to look at issues that may be happening on the in-house side and compare how they may be happening on the contracted side and ensure that our riders have a consistent experience. We partner with our bus training department every year to develop their annual training courses, and dedicated modules are created by that team to use real videos and real feedback from our riders to retrain our operators for the subsequent year. We also use that data directly in our agency's key performance reporting to measure what industry standard, which is passenger complaints per 100,000 riders. And for context, in last year, the agencies averaged less than 5 complaints per 100,000 riders on our system. We also use that across, not just in support services and in bus, but we look at it across the entire rider experience. So we use this data with marketing, with security, with our outreach teams. You name it, this data is used whenever it can. It's used in grant applications. And we use not just the negative, but we use the positive too. When we have those compliments from our drivers, we use that video to help demonstrate how to positively respond to things. We use things like heat mapping and location data to find areas of opportunity when it comes to locations. So for example, if we see in the data here, the pass-ups were a key problem for a specific route, we're going to look more closely into where those pass-ups took place and see if there may be an environmental factor that's contributing to the increased pass-ups, and then partner with, for example, the city if there's a tree blocking it or making it difficult for the driver to service a stop. Again, we want the data to be able to drive meaningful and strategic decisions to improve the customer's experience. We'll use things like word clouds and reason code mapping to determine if certain divisions, again, need additional attention in certain places. And we do this as a holistic approach, but also narrowing it down to each of the 5 bus operating divisions, the trolley division, the security team. And we have this data readily available to them on an ongoing basis. So all of that boils down to the data from support services. The feedback from our customers is intended to be used and is used as a system-wide collaboration. We work closely with all the departments in MTS to make sure that what we do at MTS makes the customer's experience an integral part of decision-making. We are here for our riders. Everything we do at MTS revolves around the rider and the rider experience. And so the role of the feedback coming through our teams in customer service and support services is really key. We work with Trolley and Fare Systems when we go through special event staffing. We go out, do outreach with our marketing teams, whether it be going to different facilities or events to promote transit and help people understand it, or going to schools to help verify youth for the Youth Opportunity Program. We work with our security teams, our legal teams for record requests. We help our security team apprehend suspects using data that we have available in Pronto. We work with our operations teams to make sure our ride checkers are in the right places, to make sure we get the feedback we need. Constantly partnering with finance for Pronto and our transit store, IT to make sure our systems are working the way that they should and that the customer experience is seamless. And of course, taking the feedback we receive regarding planning and scheduling back to our planning team. All of this is because of the people that I have on my team. And I take a lot of pride in my team and the great work that they do. Among my team, we have over 550 years of MTS experience. And all of that is across less than 80 people. This team really has a passion for the MTS mission. They could be in call centers in a lot of places. They could be in customer service a lot of places, but my team chooses to be here to serve San Diego. We love what we do. A lot of the people in my team have also been promoted into other roles for the agency. And that's probably my proudest moment of my team, is watching them be able to come and influence different departments in MTS to make, again, the rider experience be the core about how we make decisions. So a couple of the photos here, we have Eric, who is a former information trip planning clerk. He's now an operator. We have Connie, who's now working in our accounting department. We have Luna, who came from trip planning, is now a supervisor. Almost every department of our agency. One of our PSRs was just promoted to be a trolley operator who starts Monday. So a lot of different roles that the customer experience. Once you've been in support services, you can't unbe in support services. So my team takes that into each of their next careers and really does make the customer experience the forefront. So with that, I'll end. I do want to share one of the resources that we have, and I did bring some in case anybody in here wants them, is each of those call centers I referenced is its own dedicated phone line to get people, again, directly to where they need to be. So one of our greatest tools, and I provide this to all of our bus operators as they graduate from their program, is our rider assistance tools. These have the direct phone numbers to each of those, as well as the phone number to our security. Again, a great tool for helping our riders navigate the system and get connected with the resources we provide. With that, I'll take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Denham, and what fantastic presentation. Thank you. Any staff that worked on this. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Okay. So then now we'll take some questions from committee members. So go ahead and hit that small button there in front of the screen. All right, go for it.
Thank you. I appreciate that really immersive presentation on the support services. This is my first time attending this meeting. Normally you see Christian Hernandez from FACT. So please bear with me if this is something you've already discussed. But I was wondering if your information and trip planning department or which one of these groups, or maybe all of them, have some degree of awareness of the alternatives to MTS access. For example, if a rider is not from your service area or somehow not, a good fit in the MTS service, MTS access service, how do you connect them with other options, whether it's JFS or Regional Center or FACT or any other entity? So if you could just talk about that.
No problem. Thank you for the question. So all of my teams would be able to answer the basic questions about what are alternatives to MTS access. They are all trained on what MTS access is, how to qualify, what that certification process looks like. And then they also have the tools and resources of the other services provided throughout San Diego County. The more detailed questions, if the information trip planning can't answer beyond just providing a list and phone numbers, customer service would be able to provide further detail. If they aren't able to answer, they would connect the customer directly to either the reservationist at Access if it was something specific to Access, or connect them to the phone numbers for the resources we have, such as FACT. Last month, we had a good lesson on providing those resources. So we do have a very robust list that we have, and that was used multiple times throughout last month.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And I know we do receive referrals, a lot of referrals from MTS for riders who are not familiar with the system. So I appreciate that too. Thank you.
All right, we will now go on to Member Marino.
I just want to thank you, Amanda. That was a great presentation. And I just want to say your department does great work. It's a really effective work. There's a lot of people that you're orbiting around there, and we do see the difference out here at the rider level. So thank you for all of that. And I just want to say, I think it's important that we make sure that we get the tip of the iceberg, so that number out to riders and to MTS people across the board, including our access riders, so that they can make use of that wonderful department that you're running. But thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Member Rodriguez.
Hi. So great job with your team. And I have some question for you. You guys are starting to get data from the Padres games with the team, the customer service team?
So we definitely see an increase in calls. We definitely see an increase in ridership when it comes to the Padres games. This is our peak season. So between start of Padre season and end of Padre season, it is our biggest event, special event time. So it's mostly my passenger support team that feels that influx. During those Padre games, that is the team who's in the stations helping guide fans. We know that the fan experience doesn't start at the game, it starts on your way to the game. And so we have teams placed throughout the service area to help get riders in and out of Petco Park efficiently.
Okay, and today's gonna be a big concert, and then Comic-Con is coming.
Yep, absolutely. So our team of passenger support reps is anywhere between 35 and 45 employees. And we, Victor and Myra, the two supervisors on that team, are very strategic to make sure the team is where they need to be for those big events. You're right. Tonight we have a big concert at Petco. This weekend we have NASCAR and Coronado. So we have a jam-packed special event calendar, and the summertime is our peak, and we love it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, now on to Member Marshall.
Hi, I have a quick question in regards to the list of alternative resources. Is it available anywhere else other than through calling MTS? Like, is it posted online? Just so that there'd be better access for.
I would definitely want to
generic
look back into
resources?
that to make sure. I know during last month's work stoppage, we did make it more readily available. I can certainly circle back to find out where it is normally stored.
Mhm.
I know, again, for my teams, I have it in our intranet, but I don't want to misquote that where it is on our website, but I believe investing.
I think that would be helpful
better
for the
help, but we can absolutely
community
find
to know
Yeah.
if that, and then it wouldn't necessarily tie up customer service if someone could just go and look online.
Absolutely.
Another question I had, though, was in regards to the Pronto Support Center, and you talked about partners being able to process the reduced fare applications. Could you explain a little bit more
Yeah,
about that?
absolutely. So the Pronto Partners Program is a contract that MTS enters with interested businesses, schools, organizations. It started out in our prior system, you may have heard of it, called the ECO program or PPV. Those are programs that allow individual sites to administer the Pronto passes. That's how it was originally purchased. So a an employer could go in and purchase transit on behalf of their employees or their clients. As we evolved the Pronto system and were able to move to online verification, we were able to expand that to be something that could go through the institutional website, which is what all the partners get access to. We now have a version of our contract that allows sites to not have to meet a minimum purchasing requirement, but sign a contract with MTS to be able to have access to that verification. In the current solution, it is primarily age-based certifications that those partners are able to do on their own without MTS. There are certain sites though where we have been able to determine that the eligibility criteria that they use for participation in their programs aligns with the same eligibility criteria that MTS has for a reduced fare. And in those cases, we've been able to modify the contract to allow them to also use something like a Social Security or SSI award letter or a Medicare verification to verify the client on their behalf. SDRC is another good example, since SDRC is a site that is approved as an approver. So rather than making their clients go through the long form process just for SDRC to sign it and send it back to MTS, SDRC has an institutional portal that allows them direct access to go in and certify their clients by adding the photo, adding the date of birth, and the client not having to do anything. So it's a great program. I'd be happy to talk to you more about it if you have questions.
Great,
We have about 150 institutional partners through that program now, and we're continuing to grow it, especially with our school resources.
Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, any further comments from members? Okay, this is an informational item only. No action is necessary. So we'll now move on to our next item, which is Service Animal Day. Ms. Kroll, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Errol Kroll. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist here at MTS, and I'm here to give a brief overview of our first Service Animal Day that we held on Tuesday this past week. So Service Animal Day came about when we received a request from a rider who recently started working with a new service animal who wasn't quite comfortable being on board the bus or the trolley yet. And so the rider requested to have availability to have a static bus or trolley so they could practice with their animal. And so our team decided it would be best to open up to other riders who may have the same need with their service animals, and that created Service Animal Day. So this allowed riders to practice boarding both a static MTS bus, trolley, and access vehicle with their animals, as well as give them a chance to learn more about accessibility on the MTS system and have tips for riding with their service animals. So we covered quite a few topics throughout the event. Most importantly was how to ride with the service animal, where it's appropriate for them to sit, such as making notes that they can't block aisles or doors for the safety of other passengers and the animals. That they cannot sit on seats, they must remain under direct control of the passenger, and other requirements for having a service animal be on board MTS vehicles. And then we talked about accessibility, such as ramp deployment, what the rider and the animals can expect when a ramp is folding out from the bus, when it is coming out from the trolley door or the access lift on those vehicles. We also talked about priority seating areas, where it's appropriate for riders to sit and where they have availability to sit, as well as practicing with mobility devices and other accessibility features aboard our vehicles. Again, we talked about accessibility on access with the lift deployment, as well as queue restraints that are available, and other access needs that the riders who attended may have. And then we also covered accessibility on trolley, such as the ramp deployment, how to appropriately use the blue ADA button, the priority seating area, things like the next stop announcements, and how to contact the operator in case of an emergency. So we have quite a few images of the day. We had 3 riders who attended. We had our CEO Sharon come out and make some opening remarks. And again, the animals and the passengers were able to practice getting on board and sitting on board the static bus, trolley, and access vehicles. So you can see that a bit more here, as well as the animals practicing getting on and off the lift. And so we had operations folks come down from bus, access, and trolley and give these small group presentations as we went through the vehicles to really answer any in-depth questions they had about riding with their animals. And we also got to help troubleshoot some other things they've experienced on the system and how both MTS can handle those situations and how the riders can also respond to those situations to make for a better riding experience, especially when they're on board with their animals. A few more photos from the day. I think one of the most exciting moments for all of the staff who were out there was one of the service animals, this white dog on the right. They were quite scared of the ramps deploying, and we were able to get enough reps with the passenger and the animal that they were able to overcome that fear and comfortably get on board and off board the vehicles. So that was a big win, and really the entire reason we held this event, to get the animals comfortable riding. So that was my very brief overview. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you for that, Ms. Kroll. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
We have no public comment.
Okay, I want to start by saying that these are the kind of events that really warm my heart, but also it's that human connection that it's a difference between service and hospitality. So I appreciate MTS taking the time to provide that opportunity for our riders. At this time, I will take any comments or questions from members. I see that we have Member Marshall first.
Thank you. Will you be doing this event again?
Yes, I believe so. Our hope is to make this somewhat of an annual event and have it continue growing. We only had 3 participants this time around, but we hope that we can get more folks on board and as we spread the word and hold more events like this.
And how did you advertise the event?
Yeah, for this first round, we went out specifically to organizations who work with the disabled community and riders who may have service animals, as well as reaching out directly to any access riders who we knew had service animals. So it wasn't necessarily open to the public, but we tried to reach out to folks who would be getting the most out of this event.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any other member comments? All right, again, informational item, no action is necessary. So we'll move on to our next item, which is an update from the San Diego Accessible Rider Coalition.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kate Pecora, and I was formerly the founder. Well, I'll always be the founder, but previously was the chair of the San Diego Accessible Rider Coalition. As of last week, we were very excited to elect David Moreno as our former chair, as our future chair moving forward within 2026, 2027. So we're very excited to invite you guys to learn more about our coalition today. So like I said, my name is Kate Pecora. I'm here representing the coalition and giving a little bit of an update about what we've been doing over the past 6 months and where we'll be headed moving forward. So just very briefly, thank you for allowing us to be here today. The San Diego Accessible Rider Coalition is really a transportation coalition that exists across San Diego County. And that is particularly unique because I think we all understand that transportation doesn't just exist in one city, in one state. The entire purpose of transportation is to be able to get across different systems. So very uniquely here with our system here in the county of San Diego, a lot of riders with disabilities will come into contact with numbers of systems, whether that is MTS, NCTD, or any of the private operators and organizations in between all of those ride services. So we like to be very focused on individuals who are riding with paratransit, or are individuals who are seniors or people with disabilities. We ensure that our focus is largely led on community efforts, and that is beneficial to the riders who are using these services. And in the past year, we were able to get grant sponsorship through FACT, which was incredibly important. And moving forward, we are excited to continue to collaborate with their organization and take on additional partnerships with many of the service providers across San Diego County. Going back briefly to when things first kicked off was November 2025. I was approached within the summer of 2025, among other individuals within our rider network. I think there was a lot of us who were disgruntled at some aspects of the lack of interconnectedness of systems. And what that meant was the transfer stations and the inability to get on-demand rides when and where we wanted, the inability to pay fares at the same cost as individuals who are not using paratransit. So all of these things really led up to what we established was our first coalition meeting, and this was in November of 2025. We were very excited to hold it with Caltrans District 11 headquarters down in Old Town. So we're very thankful for their partnership in that first meeting there. And again, we became the first rider-led advocacy organization in the county to support the development of access to accessible transportation across the county largely. And so I've included our governing documents and other materials within this PowerPoint, which we can circulate to individuals moving forward. Okay, there are 3 goals to the San Diego Accessible Rider Coalition. Our purpose is largely to promote our dedicated expanding funding of accessible transportation services and paratransit services for riders across the county. So recognizing that this is a big gap of access for people who need on-demand rides, and that the individual rider experience is varied depending on where you live within this county, whether you're working with MTS, NCTD, or like I said, anywhere in between. Our mission is to advocate for equitable transportation policies, to educate community partners on accessible transportation, and to enhance and collaborate with local governments to provide reliable transportation options for people with disabilities. All of those things coming together to formulate a vision of a sustainable network of accessible transportation partners that provide reliable, affordable, and dignified transportation for all San Diegans needing a little extra assistance getting around our city and county. Moving forward, we were able to establish a large coalition. Our current member list has over 100 people that have so far signed up and have demonstrated interest in being part of our coalition. We host monthly meetings, and we're moving forward again in August of this year. We're taking a little bit of a break in July, having just gone through elections, but in August, we'll be ramping back up again and beginning to bring on new partners to share updates and to elevate the policy work that we hope to provide through the next couple of years. Within 2026, just very briefly, our priorities focused a lot on understanding where the current system exists. So understanding where equitable transportation policy decision-making could be influenced. So understanding whether where policies already exist, where we can be influential members as participants here in the community. We're also working on building, we also built towards a coalition infrastructure culminating in, like I said, our meeting last June or a couple of weeks ago, in which we were able to elect our first coalition chair and governing board to lead us through the next year. Just to give a brief overview of some of the coalition partners that we've had in attendance in the past, we've had FACT, of course, MTS has been there, Paralyzed Veterans Association, the City of San Diego, SANDAG, Travelers Aid of San Diego, United Taxi Workers of San Diego, the City of Vista and the City of Oceanside, Scripps, North County Transit District, the Jewish Family Services, and the University of San Diego, among many others. So, to everybody's benefit, like I said, this is truly a county-wide collaboration. And with that, I would really invite anybody here who's listening today to get involved with our meetings and learn more about what we're doing and what we're looking to bring forward into the next couple of years. Our monthly meetings are virtual, as the nature of our coalition exists because transportation is hard to get folks all in the same place at the same time. So we do host those monthly meetings, and we're also on social media. Our next meeting as I said, will be on August 6th at 3 p.m. on Zoom. And we do have a mailing list there. So anybody who is interested in participating, please feel free to go ahead and sign up, or you can meet myself or David, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Pecora. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay, so we will go to member comments and questions. I see first up is Member Vasquez.
Hi, Kate. Good to see you. Just wanted to reiterate Caltrans support for this group. We're very excited that we were able to host you back in November, and just wanted to restate, our commitment to the group and helping you elevate this at the statewide level. I'm very happy to have been part of the recent election process, and it's great to see you, and I'm sure we'll be catching up soon. Thank you for a great presentation.
All right, thank you for that. And now we have Member Marino.
I just want to acknowledge Kate's hard work and dedication in getting this grassroots effort off the ground, providing some structure, handing it off to me so that I have something tangible to work with. And it's an exciting organization because it is primarily composed of writers, and we are working closely with all of our partners across the spectrum, both in North County and down here in the south part of the city and the county. And so we invite you to be a part of all of that. For those of you that are not already involved, we can have you sign up on our membership Google form, and we just need your email address. And we'll get you registered in there, and then you'll receive updates about our meetings. Our next meeting is August 6th at 3 o'clock. It will be a virtual meeting on Zoom. If anybody's interested in attending that, just let me know, or you can let Kate know. And we look forward to your participation. Thank you.
Member Prem.
Kate, thank you for the presentation. And I commend your work on the coalition and your leadership. And David, look forward to having you lead the coalition, and look forward to seeing what you're going to do next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time, your dedication, and making it out here to give this presentation, Ms. Pecora. This is an informational item, therefore no further action is necessary. And so we will now move on and hear an update on fixed route bus and trolley operations.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vasi Heis, and I'm the manager of paratransit and minibus here at MTS. I'm going to be filling in for Keith Van, who is our manager of operations. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is an overview on our fixed route operation, the service change that recently occurred on June 7th, and then the construction projects at Santa Fe Depot, UCSD, Gilman, and Myers, and the Pride Parade. So an overview on our fixed route operation. Internally, MTS currently operates 24 routes with a fleet of 249 buses and 489 bus operators. The average monthly ridership between our Imperial Avenue division and Kearny Mesa division is around 766,000. And through April of 2026, we have transported over 15 million passengers. Now, the service change occurred on Sunday, June 7th, and some of the major changes were the Route 110, which was discontinued. Route 280 and 290 had some routing changes, and we also had some seasonal adjustment changes with the summer coming up and kids being out of school. Now, at Santa Fe Depot, there is the Kettner paving project, which is going to start Monday, June 15th through Wednesday, June 17th, and buses will resume service on Tuesday, June 30th as they finish that up. At UCSD and Gilman and Myers, that is the Triton Center project, and the transit center is going to open on Sunday, September 6th. And the Pride Parade is coming up on Saturday, July 18th, and routes 1, 10, 11, and 120 will be on a detour. And with that, I'll pass it on to Aaron for the trolley update.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Oops. Wrong way. There we go. My name is Aaron Penn. I'm the special event manager of the San Diego Trolley for MTS Rail, and I'll be discussing the trolley overview, rider quality enhancements, some of the special events for 2026, and construction projects that are coming up for this year. For the trolley, we have 4 lines: the blue line, which goes from San Ysidro to UTC, the orange line, which goes from Courthouse Station to El Cajon, the green line, which goes from Imperial Terminal to El Cajon, and the copper line, which goes from El Cajon to Santee. We have 169 LRVs, with the majority of them in service on a regular basis, revolving service based on need for maintenance and occasional issues with the trains. We have approximately 190 operators for the trains. Our average monthly ridership is at 3.5 million. And through fiscal year 26, we've had approximately 34,750,000 riders. For ride quality enhancements, we always take feedback from the customer seriously, and we try to do the best we can to try to improve the experience for the riders. We've put software into the systems we were working on before, but we finally worked out all the bugs, and we're able to have a light in the cab for the operator to know that someone has requested the ramp on any car, which really helps in the stations where there's curves and we can't see the people trying to get on the trains. But it's also helped with people deboarding the trains because the operators can't see if someone's trying to get to the ramp. So it's allowed better accessibility to the trains in the cases where the operator is unable to see the people attempting to use the ramp to get on the train. We provided training for all operators to make sure they understood that when the light is illuminated, they need to wait for the door to fully cycle. If they cancel the doors when the thing is in the middle of the cycle, sometimes they'll retract the ramp, and that was eliminating that problem by letting them know you need to wait. We installed announcements that play between every station, and it might seem excessive, but it's telling everybody to please hold on to the rails when the train's moving in an effort to reach out to people who have visual impairments. It's the same announcement that we have posted on the signs, but it's basically informing that it's a high maintenance, high velocity vehicle. You need to hold on at all times. We have announcements playing as it's coming in the station as the doors open, so people coming in the train and boarding the train will be able to hear. We did also receive complaints from various passengers that there was odors on the train that were not good. We looked into that, and we found in some cases food or other things had gone underneath the seats. So we contacted the people who do the cleaning to do a little bit more deep cleaning, but we also looked for a deodorant that we could put inside the seats that we're able to put in pieces, and it was able to help a lot with the odor issue on the trains. We tell people not to eat and drink on the trains, but they'll do what they want to do. For 2026 special events, things are coming up. We do have several sports seasons and special events that overlap. Petco Park has the Padres playing, but also concerts like as today. SDFC plays at the Snapdragon Stadium, which is booking a lot of events. They have 2 actually playing during Comic-Con. They have big concerts coming up. Guns N' Roses playing at Snapdragon, if I recall correctly, and there's other large names on the Tuesday for concerts. So with all those different events going on, we do the best we can to juggle the extra service available for the people that need to get there. And then for the wave season, I kind of forgot to mention that, but it's starting, but we've seen a significant reduction in the ridership for wave games. I don't think it's as popular as when it first started, but we do what we can to basically get the people to the event. We still commit to the 45 minutes after the game. There'll be availability. So as long as someone's trying to leave and get home, they're not going to get stuck whenever they need to get home. When the events go very late, when the copper line stops running, we've been taking the shuttles and extending the Santee to continue the trip and allow the operators on the copper line to have a regular schedule. The San Diego Comic-Con's coming up. It's going to be between Thursday, actually, I think it's Wednesday, but July 22nd to July 26th. There's going to be concerts at Petco Park. The day before, there's a concert at Petco Park. I can't recall who that is right now, sorry. But Comic-Con is the biggest event we have for the year. We prepare for that for months and ahead of time. We have wraps for all the trains that are Comic-Con theme related. There's going to be special placards on the shuttle, on the red lines that are going to basically be for Marvel and Magic the Gathering. We carried approximately 306,000 extra riders during that same weekend that we did the week before, and we expect the same, if not more, this year. For the construction projects, we have the Orange Line Improvement Project Phase 1 still going on. We have 3 more closures. We have a total of 11. Excuse me, that might be 4 more, but we have a total of 11 closures. We have other grade crossing replacements that are happening in between those construction projects. We did the blue line tire replacement earlier this year, and the Buyer Slope project is reinforcing a part of the area near Buyer that was washed out in the floods. For the Orange Line Improvement Project, Phase 1 is underway. There's my numbers. And so we have done up to 8. We just finished the Phase 8 this weekend, and there were no major issues. The next closure date is going to be August 15th to 16th. It will be Euclid to Lemon Grove, the closure. We have bus bridges in between for those. And then the next closure was actually rescheduled from the time I wrote this. It's going to be October 3rd and 4th, but it'll also be Euclid to Lemon Grove. We have the final closure will be in November 14th and 15th. And again, it's Euclid to Lemon Grove. And all that is to basically install infrastructure to allow the trains to bypass disabled trains, problems on the rails, to allow a better consistency of operation for the trains, more crossovers and better signaling system. There is a Phase 2. We don't have the dates right now, but that'll be the other half. The first phase was between the Baltimore Junction, or actually between Lemon Grove area and 12th Imperial. The second phase is going to be more in the East County. It will be affecting more of the green line as the closures happen. I put a couple pictures in there. They've changed some of the signal systems. They've made crossovers where there weren't crossovers before. For the Orange Line Improvement Passenger Outreach, which is one of the things we're trying very hard to work on, is get information out to the public. Let them know we have VMS signs playing messages saying we're going to have a closure coming up. We put A-frames up that are as specific as possible. We want to allow for the possibility of change. So we don't want to say it's going to happen, this is the way it is, and have to go and change everything if something happens like that. So about a week ahead of time, we're usually putting up A-frames. We have the information on the MTS website for planning the trips ahead of time. The operators are all making inside announcements as they're coming up to the closures and letting people know where they can go. We have a great amount of help from passenger service representatives, security that helps the passengers when they're actually at the station during the closure in case there's any other questions. For the grade crossing replacements, we are doing those as they come up. It's usually rehabilitation or replacement. We do have something at Park Boulevard. We're still waiting on them to come and do one more closure. They need permits to be able to finish that closure. And then the second phase will be connecting Harbor Drive to Park Boulevard, which is, I think, a year or 2 out the line because they still need to work through the permits with the city for that. We have a closure on September 12th at Dairy Mart. It's a one-day closure, and that's to help facilitate the bike lane addition at the Dairy Mart Road. For the blue line tire replacement, we replaced approximately 10,000 tires on the westbound main. Year before we did on the eastbound main. It's their wear and tear over years. They need to replace them, and so we got those out of the way. Now there was delays, but it wasn't a stoppage of service. And the Buyer Slope, we are doing pretty much the same thing. It's no there's no actual station changes. Excuse me. There's no actually station changes. We're single tracking between Buyer and San Ysidro, so we're not having to actually come to opposite tracks, but we still have announcements playing, letting people know there might be delays. The usual closures are between Sunday and Thursday, and we do have some delays, but that's not that bad. Put a couple pictures of what they're doing. That's basically they're digging down, shoring up where that slope was washed out by the floods, putting in concrete reinforcements, and they were going slow in the beginning, but they were able to finally get a good pace, and so they're working along pretty fast. That'll be all. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the presentation, Ms. Heiss, Mr. Pitt. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Okay, so now I'll take comment from members. We have Member Gambler.
Thank you. Just a couple quick ones. in terms of accommodations for individuals with disabilities, when it comes to like, for instance, the orange line and closures, what types of things do you guys do specifically to sort of meet them where they're at in terms of issues that might come up related to closures or special accommodations as well?
Depending on what disabilities we're accommodating, we do have passenger service representatives at the stations that will actually be there during the closures. We make sure that they're definitively at where the trains stop and turn back. So if there's any confusion, we can direct people to where the buses are, or we can give them more information. We do put information on the website, and I'm not sure if someone has accessibility services for their computer, they should be able to hear the website if there's a visual disability. But we put a lot of information out to the public to make sure that they are aware this is coming up.
Okay. And then the special events, how do we have information on like how often, let's say, Trolley leaves from a Padres game or a soccer match at Snapdragon, or is it sort of a like meeting a certain time or frequency in terms of leaving, or is it based on when, like, let's say a trolley gets filled to capacity and then it leaves?
For the station, I see what you're saying. Generally, we try to stick to the 15-minute headway for the trains. We'll have one or two, depending on the event, maybe 3 shuttles that are ready to go behind the regular train. We'll fill up the train. It might stay a little bit longer than normal at the station until it's full, but when it's full, the person that's monitoring the station will say, all right, time to go. And if we didn't get enough of the people, then they'll probably bring out one of those extra shuttles. Like for the post events, for instance, at Gaslamp for the Padres, when everyone comes out at once, the first green line comes in, it picks up as many people as it can, it doesn't clear the station, and then we have a shuttle that comes out of the yard and comes in out of service and goes into Gaslamp and boards everybody. So for post-event, we kind of manage that way. Pre-event, it's generally everyone comes in on their own time, so we don't have a problem with the jamming of the trains. But for the weekdays, we put extra trains out to bring people in to kind of lighten the load on the green line, which helped reduce a lot of the service problem. We had delays a lot when we were using the extra shuttles. It helped reduce that delay and increase the reliability.
Okay, seeing no further member comment, I want to thank you both for the presentation and the update. And this, again, is an informational item. No action is necessary. We will now move on to our final discussion item, which is the MTS Access and Medical Transportation Management update. Ms. Heiss, again, you have the floor.
Good afternoon again. So today I'm going to provide an update on MTS Access as well as our certification contractor MTM. So first, we wanted to provide an overview on the strike that occurred last month in May. This dispute was between Transdev and Teamsters Local 542. The strike lasted for 21 days, and it began on Monday, May 11th through Sunday, May 31st, with members returning to work on Monday, June 1st. MTS and Transdev worked together on contingency plans should a strike occur to ensure that there was minimal impact on our passengers. So the morning of the strike, passengers were notified of the service disruptions via mass email blast as well as mass callouts to clients. Additional information was also posted on the MTS website, which provided daily updates. Service disruption information was also posted on the MTS app, on our certification provider's website, and then as well as on the recording line when passengers call in to reserve their trip on Access. Our MTS customer service and trip planning departments also provided us a lot of aid when passengers would call in. They had up-to-date information on a daily basis, so they were able to provide passengers with any questions that they had. And as Amanda attests to that, they were just fantastic in providing that information to our passengers. Now, during the 21-day strike, Transdev utilized 4 different subcontractors to provide the service and they themselves also provided minimal service. So they utilized Taxi, Silver Ride, Care 7, and America West. And during those 21 days, there were 18,590 trips scheduled. Now, it's really important to note that all the trips that were scheduled were provided. There were no trips that were canceled by TransDev or denied. So passengers, around 33% of the 30% of the trips that were scheduled were canceled by passengers. So that's around 6,200. Now, of those 33%, about half were canceled due to strike-related reasons. So adult daycare centers, for example, were proactive in getting their passengers other modes of transportation to ensure they made it to their program. And then the remaining half of the 33% were canceled just due to non-strike related reasons. So somebody may have been sick, their appointment may have been rescheduled, or they just didn't need to go where they need to go that particular day. Now, of those remaining, of those 18,000 trips, 67% were actually provided. So that's about 12,400. And those trips were provided by TransDev and the 4 subcontractors that I mentioned above. TransDev and the Teamsters are in the process of finalizing and executing the contract terms associated with the members' return to work, which is a process that generally takes some time to complete. Next, I'm going to go over the MTS Access performance since our last meeting in March. And just as a reminder, MTS Access is our complimentary paratransit service. It's an origin to destination service, and it operates within 3/4 of a mile of any fixed route bus or trolley, and it mimics the same time and date that they operate. MTS Access carries about over 30,000 passengers per month, and we currently have 117 active drivers in a fleet of 114 paratransit buses. They currently utilize 3 subcontractors, Taxi, Care 7, and Silverite. So in terms of the performance, through April for FY26, they are at 88%. So you can see over the last 4 months between January and April, they have continued to increase, staying in that 90% timeframe. And we also provided a chart just so you can see how it's gone up and down compared to FY25. Now, in terms of ridership through April of 2026, MTS Access has carried nearly 318,000 passengers. And in FY25, for the whole year, they carried 350,000. So we're seeing about a 10% increase compared to the previous time last year, with April having the second highest month since July of 2024. The highest month prior to that was in October, which we usually see as one of our high months. And again, we provided a chart so you can see how it was compared to the previous year. Now, in terms of complaints, through April of 2026, we have received 660 valid complaints. Compared to FY25, for the whole year, we received 481. With September and October being our highest months. During that time, we have Access experienced some personnel constraints, which led to late trips. And so we'll go over that in one of the next slides. So during the last ASAC meeting, it was requested that we provide a breakdown of the complaint categories for MTS Access. So when a complaint comes through, depending on the nature of the complaint, we put it into a specific reason code. And so we just, to the best of our ability, these are the reason codes that the majority of the complaints go in. And so when you compare FY25 to FY26, the 3 categories remain the same as the top. So you have late pickup, late drop off, and operator rules as our top complaints. Now, a pickup is considered late if a driver is outside of the 30-minute window that we set for a passenger to be picked up. So even if they arrive at the 31st minute, that trip is considered late, so it would be a valid complaint. When a trip is late, it could sometimes be due to an operator error, but it could also be something that is outside of their control. For example, there could be traffic. A couple of weeks ago, we had those 2 big rigs that impacted a lot of traffic on the 805. So those are sometimes the reasons of why a pickup is late. Now, it is important to note that through April of 2026, 88% of our trips are considered on time, and that is the baseline that we have in the contract. Now, of the 12% of the trips that are late, 10% of those are within 1 to 15 minutes late. So we are arriving as quickly as possible. It's not like they're waiting 75, 90 minutes. Now, we do have some that go up beyond that 45 minutes, but that's only about 2% of the late trips. Now, in terms of a late drop-off, this one works a little bit different because there's two ways that a passenger can book a trip. They can do a pickup-based trip, so they tell you, I need to be picked up at this time, and then we give them the pickup time, or it can be an appointment-based trip where they say, I need to be somewhere at a specific time. So doctor's appointment, work, whatever it may be. And so whatever that time is, let's say it's 9 a.m., we have between 8:30 and 9 o'clock to get you there to be considered on time. And the passenger cannot set the pickup time. Our Transdev works backwards from the drop-off time to determine when they're going to get picked up. So if someone gets dropped off at, let's say 9:01, then they're considered late. Now, typically the reason why a trip is late, again, it could be non-driver related reasons, but when a trip is scheduled, the system is maximizing the efficiency throughout the day. And so it could be moving trips from, let's say, a bus to a taxi or vice versa. And so the trip at the time that it was scheduled was considered on time, but there could have been other factors such as a driver taking long to drop someone off at an adult daycare center or something along those lines that made them late. And then for operator rules, there's a lot of, different complaints that go into here. So it could be as someone getting dropped off at the wrong location, let's say at a medical center, because medical centers have several different doors that you can get dropped off, or our driver can't find you because you're at one door, but the trip was booked at another door. So it's a variety of things. So a driver could have maybe not provided door-to-door service. So that's where you see that operator rules. And as I mentioned earlier, we are seeing about a 10% increase of ridership. And so that, it really does add to the complaints, but overall, compared to the number of clients that we transport and the complaints that you see in our on-time performance, it's good. Now, in terms of compliments, we have received through April 189 compliments. We did have one rider or one passenger in July and August that was very happy with her service and called for nearly every single trip that she had, as well as anyone that she spoke to. And so we did our due diligence to ensure that this passenger was indeed an access passenger, was certified, and took the trips. You do get sometimes where someone calls for a specific driver because the driver asked that they call in. And so we just wanted to do our due diligence to ensure that that passenger was an access passenger. And again, we provided our chart. And then for our ADA assessments, our ADA certification contractor, MTM, has certified nearly 1,400 riders for MTS Access since July through April. You'll see in March and April that number go up. We did have one of our mobility assessment evaluators out on leave, and she returned in the beginning of March, so they were able to handle more volume. And then finally, I wanted to make everyone aware about the Coronado Free Summer Shuttle that began June 7th, and it's going to end through, it's going to go through Labor Day, which is September 7th. So our contractor Transdev uses their minibuses to provide this free service. And along with that, our paratransit riders can also receive free paratransit rides within Coronado. So the trip has to start and end within Coronado in order to receive that trip. The Coronado Free Summer Shuttle runs from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day, and it's on a 20-minute frequency, and there is extra service during NASCAR weekend, which is this weekend. It begins tomorrow, as well as the 4th of July weekend, so that's what Access will mimic as well. And all rides are free. If you do have any issues, please let us know, and we'll make sure we get that taken care of. And with that, I'll take any questions or comments.
All right, thank you again, Ms. Heiss. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay. Do we have any comment from members? Member Marino, please.
I just want to say strikes are never easy, and I'm a veteran of 2 of them now with Access. So I want to say this strike definitely went much more smoothly than the last one did. So kudos to you for that and organizing that. I also want to reach out. I know they're not here to hear this, but our contractors that really picked up the ball, they had to sort of jump in on the fly, bring in extra vans, drivers. I was very impressed with America West. They're a very high quality company. Access is not the only shuttle system that I ride. I ride a number of different shuttle systems because I take medical transportation through my insurance. And so I have an opportunity to see all these different shuttle systems and these groups. And so in contrast to that, the America West group was in uniform. They had clean vans. They did all the connections correctly. They treated riders well. And I just think that they're a great contractor. I hope we're going to still, are we going to work with them in the future?
That is up to Transiv to decide. We don't make that call for them, but if they are needed, I'm sure that they will be used.
Yeah, they were really great as a contractor. So I just want to say thank you to all of our contractors. Thank you for navigating that strike. And I'm glad that we seem to be back on even ground now.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Glad to hear it. Thank you, Member Marino. Now on to Member Prem.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that very thorough briefing. Just a clarification question on the last slide. It mentions that MTS access is free within Coronado. Is that only in the context of the free summer shuttle, or is that always how it is?
Yes, it's
It is,
between
okay.
June 7th and September 7th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further comments from members, we do have some. There you go. Member Rodriguez, please.
Hey, so where we can get the shuttle over there in Coronado for the NASCAR?
So the shuttle doesn't take you to NASCAR. That's just within Coronado. So it starts around at City Hall and goes through to the Marriott, but it doesn't take you to NASCAR. It just NASCAR just happens to be on Coronado for the first time.
Yeah.
And but the routes 901 and 904 will not be servicing the NASCAR gate.
Yeah, thank you.
And I actually did have one question. I did notice that from 25 to 26, late pickups almost doubled, but there was almost no change in late drop off, which means people should probably be scheduling via drop off. But are there any staffing or operational challenges that?
We
can
did
describe
have staffing challenges in September and October. So in the chart here, you see the 101 and 91. That's when we had some personnel issues, and that's where Transdev brought in the subcontractors, and that's where you've been starting to see that down. And so we've seen quite a bit of an improvement, but especially during those 2 months, we saw an increase in late pickups.
And then also, we did advertise the free shuttle in Coronado. Before I got here, were the free shuttles, the 2 free shuttle lines in Chula Vista advertised to this body?
No.
Either,
No,
no?
not that
Either way,
I'm-
those shuttles go from the Gaylord Resort and Convention Center to trolley stations on E and H, and then also to 3rd Avenue in Chula Vista, and they are free. They're ADA compliant, and they got AC. So I just want to let you know you can catch that too for free. Member Vasquez.
Just if you could clarify, or maybe I didn't hear it, is this considered a pilot program for the future again, or is it just this summer that it's happening?
For the Coronado Free Summer Shuttle?
Yes.
No, that is something that is done every single year.
Okay.
So yeah, you can, I mean, it's a really good program. It's been a very successful program between Coronado and MTS. So from what I understand, it's going to continue.
Great, thank you.
We did start it earlier this year. I will note that. Typically it starts on the 1st of July, but this year we started it about a month earlier in the beginning of June.
Member Marino.
I just have a quick question. How is it that the shuttle is free? Is Coronado offsetting that cost?
Yes, they are.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we provide them the data of who is riding, and that's how we get reimbursed. So it's a partnership between the two of us.
Okay, seeing no further comment, we will now move on to committee member communications. If you all have any information or updates from your respective organizations, we'd love to hear it. And so first we have Member Gimbler, please.
Thank you, Chairman. A couple of updates from Sandag. First, related to the Regional Comprehensive Fare Ordinance. Just to give you an update, on June the 12th, our Transportation Committee conducted the first reading of proposed amendments to the Regional Comprehensive Fare Ordinance. And this came after a year-long collaboration amongst MTS, NCTD, and Sandag during a transit fare change study at the request of MTS and NCTD. And then on July 17th, we had our Transportation Committee, which is expected to conduct the second reading. So that's going to be next month. And we're going to look to vote to approve the proposed changes. If approved and ratified, the new fares would go into effect October 1st of this year for phase 1 changes and October 1st of 2027 for phase 2 changes. So if you want more information, you can visit sandag.org/fairs or email fairs@sandag.org. And then secondly, I wanted to pass on some information about some upcoming opportunities to provide input into specialized transportation opportunities. So if your organization is interested in transportation funding that supports older adults and people with disabilities in the region, we're requesting input on the Specialized Transportation Grant Program, which is having its Cycle 14 call for projects, and the Consolidated Transportation Service Agency, or CTSA, solicitation. So we're going to be hosting a number of activities where you can provide input on regional CTSA needs. You can learn more about Specialized Transportation Grant Program requirements and funding opportunities, and provide input on STGP draft evaluation criteria. And then looking out for the following activities on June 23rd at 10 a.m., our Social Services Transportation Advisory Council, or STAC, will be having a virtual and in-person meeting. On June 24th at 10 a.m., there will be a stakeholder virtual Zoom workshop for STGP. And then on July 17th at 9 a.m., our Transportation Committee virtual and in-person meeting will be occurring. So for more information, please go to our website and please email grantsdistribution@sandag.org if you need assistance in participating, or you can reach out to me after the meeting and I can connect you up to the right resources. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you so much. On to Member Vasquez.
Thank you. I guess first to clarify, Alyssa is still part of the transit team at Caltrans. We've kind of separated our roles just because transit has become such a bigger aspect of state planning. And so while Alyssa is still handling a lot of the transportation planning aspects in District 11, I will be taking over the paratransit, ADA, and microtransit initiatives at the state level, and just be visible as part of all of the communities, advocacy groups that are part of this partnership. So I'm happy to be here. As I've mentioned to some of the partners, it's kind of a great full circle moment for me to be at this table. To acknowledge, Brittany Bardal is sitting over there, who we both started together once upon a time when TransDev was first transit. So, it's just great to see you, Brittany, and great to see both of us coming up in this field. So I wanted to acknowledge you for that. And secondly, as far as updates on the Caltrans side, we are still working on the district transit plan. We're moving on to phase 2B between July and August. And this will be a time for transit adjacent group engagement to occur. And Alyssa will be the one that will be connecting with those groups that will be selected for that phase of engagement. And that will include MTS, it will include FACT, and it will include SD-ARC, among other groups that we will connect with. And again, just expect to hear from Alyssa or myself on that, probably here within the next few weeks. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other member communications, I want to take the time to thank all of you committee members, our wonderful MTS staff, and our members of the public for participating today and your commitment to improving accessibility. There is no further business. Our next scheduled meeting will be September 17th, 2026 at 1 p.m. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.